everybody. It's Angie Rupert, founder of Rupert Law Group. We handle exclusively E2 and E1 visas. So no matter what treaty country you're from or in what state you want to be, we can help. So today, before we get started, I'd like to just take a second to ask you a favor. If you find these videos useful and helpful, and we really hope that you do, please like and subscribe, and feel free to share with your friends or family who may be interested in the E2 or E1 visa. So with that said, let's talk a little bit about trends for the E2 visa in 2023. And we're seeing a lot of very positive trends. Okay, so I wanted just to take a moment to share all of those things with you. Number one, we're seeing that processing times in most countries are almost back to 2019 timeframes. So that means in many countries, once we apply for the visa, you'll have an interview within 6 to 10 weeks on average. That's many countries, not all, unfortunately. Some are very backed up and some are still not processing E2 visas, although to be honest, nobody knows why that is. It is a bit of a concern for some, especially in Latin America and sometimes in the Middle East. But we have had success with some visas, visa processing in Toronto for those who are not able to go to their home consulate because they are simply not processing E2 visas. Again, that's a very small number of consulates. Only a few contact us for details about that. But for the most part, back to almost 2019 processing times, which is amazing to hear. In addition, we're seeing a lot more E2 visas being processed, E1 visas as well. So right now, the top three for May of 2023 are Tokyo, Toronto, and Seoul. Tokyo and Toronto are perennial all-stars, always there at the top. Seoul is kind of a surprise, but very interesting. So great to hear there. For example, we're also seeing lots and lots of E2s and E1s in other countries. What we're seeing, these are some of the major cities that process a lot of E2s and E1s that are actually experiencing much higher volume in May of 2023 than in May of 2022. That would be Toronto, Mexico City, Rome, Seoul, Tel Aviv, Madrid, and all of the consulates in Australia. That would be Melbourne, Perth, and Sydney. There are many, many more consulates, of course, as well, processing E2s. Those are just the ones that are doing a lot of volume, and even more so than in May of 2022. So all great news. There are some changes for some E2 visa and E1 visa family applicants. So historically, the family would always be processed with the applicant's passport. So if you are from, let's say the applicant is from Canada and all of the family members actually only have Chinese passports, they would apply and be approved under the reciprocity, meaning the time frame and the visa fees of Canada. However, for some people, some family members, that has changed. It remains the same for family members who are passport holders of non-treaty countries. So in that example I just gave, the applicant is a Canadian citizen, the wife or the spouse and the kids have only Chinese passports, they'll all be processed as Canadians as far as the visa reciprocity, right? That would be 5 years, $40 visa reciprocity fee. However, for those who are not citizens of the treaty country, but are citizens of a different treaty country, they will be processed with that country's visa reciprocity. Let's take the same type of example. Applicant is a Canadian citizen. The spouse and family member, spouse and minor children, have French passports. When they go together, even though they go together to Toronto to be processed, they will be processed under the French reciprocity, which is 25 months, not 5 years. This is a bit confusing, unsure why they're doing it. However, that is the case. So if you and your spouse and children all have the same passport, no change at all. If you, your spouse and your children have non-treaty country passports, no change at all. If they have different passports from a treaty country, they will be approved for the reciprocity of that treaty country. One minor exception, if your reciprocity is for less than theirs. So let's take the example that I just gave, but the opposite. Applicant is a French citizen, spouse and kids are Canadian citizens. The spouse and kids will also get 25 months. They will not get 5 years. They will never be processed or approved for longer than the applicant. So a couple of blips here and there. Some blips still need to be worked out. What about dual citizens? Do the visa fee reciprocity schedules apply? We don't know the answers yet. We're waiting for more guidance from the Department of State. But obviously, as soon as we know, we will let you guys know as well. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. And if you have any questions about your E2 visa, or you're still looking for an E2 or an E1 visa, please reach out anytime. Thanks so much.